I came from a broken home, and my parents divorced when I was 3 years old, so my dad was a weekend dad at best. At a very young age, my mom started traveling and leaving my sister and I with family members who would take us in. So I really didn't have anybody to look up to. I was raised in church, and I knew God, and I accepted God at the age of 7 years old. But a real relationship, an intimate relationship with him, I didn't have. And I didn't even fathom what that was or what that could be. At the age of 10, my sister and I went to go stay with our godparents for a while. And my godsister started coming to me at night and started talking to me about love and relationships and what that meant. And I was eating it alive because I wanted to know what a relationship was. I wanted to know what real love was. And eventually that progressed to where she started touching me and saying that this is what people do when you love each other. And basically she molested me. And this went on for about 2 years. I didn't tell anybody because she made me promise not to tell anybody. I became very, very promiscuous after that. I mean, what young girl wouldn't? I wasn't sure of what was going on in my body. I developed very young, and I started to notice that boys started to notice me. And I ate up the attention because I wanted the attention from a man. And what you really have to understand is that these girls, women, because I wasn't that young when I got into the porn industry, want love, they want affection, they want attention. And it is a lot about the money, but it's also about that attention and affection. And when I was 13, I started hanging out with gang members, going to house parties, getting drunk, getting high, basically just to escape my reality. I would basically hang out with any group of guys that I thought loved me. And one of those guys who I trusted, who I thought really sincerely wanted me for me, ended up raping me and taking my virginity at the age of 13. So things just got worse for me at that point. I was still in church, but I was just like, whatever, God who, I don't care. And I didn't want to tell my family because I was threatened with retaliation. And I didn't want that to be brought on my family. Met my high school sweetheart at 15, and right away just became very sexually active. He was very broken, like I was, and so I thought, okay, surely if I show him love and affection, then he's gonna show me love and affection back. We began sleeping together, and I got pregnant at the age of 17. My mom forced us basically to get married. She said, you have to get married. This is what you're gonna do. You can't bring a baby into the world without having a marriage. And so I did. But the night before I married him, I knew that I was making a bad decision. I knew that he wasn't gonna be the father and the provider that I needed him to be for me and my kids, or our child. And sure enough, soon after we got married, he couldn't work, he didn't want to maintain a job, he was distant, he wasn't helping me with the baby. So I took matters into my own hands because I was raised to be very independent and just to deal with things on my own. And so that's what I did. And I started doing dominatrix work. I looked through the yellow pages in Chicago at the time, that's where I was from. They had pages and pages of escorts. I didn't really know what an escort was. I had an idea. I knew that it was spending time with a man for money, but I didn't know what else came along with that. Started doing that, and the woman who ran the house of these girls, the madam, was just so loving, and she was so attentive to me. I was like her prized possession because I was young, and she just loved the way I look, and I sold, and I made money for her. And that was her bottom line. As long as I could bring money to her, she was gonna treat me like I was a princess. I started trying to go back to school and working regular jobs in between doing that, but it just wasn't enough. It was never enough. I fell into prostitution because dominatrix work wasn't enough. It just wasn't. It wasn't making enough money. It wasn't providing enough for me and my children. I had 2 more children with my husband at the time, and I just knew that I needed something more. So I did get away from that. And as soon as I told her that I wasn't going to do prostitution and escorting anymore, she started threatening me. And I was just like, okay, no, I just got to completely do away with this. Started trying to go back to church, started trying to get my life together. My husband and I were together for about 10 years before I was like, okay, enough is enough. You're just never going to be the man and the provider I need you to be. He had cheated on me numerous times. It was just a bad situation. In 2004, we divorced. And I was a single, desperate mom with 3 kids now. He didn't want to take the responsibility of taking the kids on, so I had to. I wasn't gonna, leave my kids with somebody irresponsible like that. And again, I found myself in the same situation. I'm working, I'm trying to go back to college because I love education. I want to do this legitimately, but it's not enough. And I started looking on Craigslist, and that's when Craigslist actually had an adult section. Now they don't, they have a talent section, and all the erotic gags have just moved to the talent section. But I started seeing ads for BBW models. I didn't know what that was, but I looked into it. I had always done some plus size modeling here and there to make some extra money, so I just figured it was something like that. BBW stood for Big Beautiful Woman. And as soon as I called the producer, he was interested. Oh yeah, no, that sounds great. Hey, just come over to my house. This is in Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas now, where it's completely illegal to do any kind of adult work like that. And I went there, and I was expecting just to do some modeling. And when I walked in the door, there's another guy there on top of the producer saying, oh, well, okay, we just need you to expose a little bit more. We needed to just do this. And sooner or later, they were coercing me into saying, okay, now we need you to get on film, and we're just gonna do a test shoot. And that's what they tell a lot of the girls, is that this is just gonna be a test shoot. And if the producers like you and we like you, oh, you're gonna make millions. You're gonna be the next hottest thing, and we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna take care of your children. And for a lot of girls who have kids, that's one of the ways that they really get to you, is by saying, we're gonna make sure that your kids are never hungry, that they always have clothes, that you're just completely taken care of. So I believed that. I wanted to believe that. So I did my first porn shoot, and I just decided, okay, I'm never gonna do that again. It was $300 for an hour of just hell. And I was like, okay, this is not me, this is not who I am. I can be legitimate, I can go back to school, I can do this. I didn't have a support system, and so 8 months later, I'm still in the same situation. I'm trying to avoid being on welfare, I'm trying to go back to school, I'm trying to maintain being legitimate, and it wasn't enough. Some people had seen the first porno that I had done, because it spreads like wildfire, whether you think it does or not. And they contacted me because I put in an advertisement out to do some modeling on an adult website, where it's like a listing site. And that night I had like 20 calls, and they were just deranged. They really were. Like, I had a guy asking me if I would sleep with his 14-year-old grandson. Oh, it's crazy. People are very sick. But I was in California like 3 days later, doing another porn film, and the shoot I thought was going to be in some kind of set. I just assumed that pornography was like any other business, that you get to a job site and you do the job, they pay you, and you're done. It was in Compton, California, in a very, very unsafe neighborhood, in a private motel room, and the producer was also the talent. He didn't ask me anything about protection or if I had been tested or anything. I was completely naive about that aspect of the business. And he's like, okay, so I need you to have sex with me. And then all of a sudden this girl comes out of the bathroom, and I need you to have sex with her too. Okay. But that's what they do. They get you into these private locations, they lock you behind private doors, and they say, look, you're gonna do this for me, or else you're not gonna get paid. You're not gonna have money. And when you're desperate, especially to feed your kids, you're gonna do what they say. And that's the situation that I was in. And after that, I just started traveling back and forth between Las Vegas and California to do different shoots. It was all about the money, because with each producer, they're like, oh, well, we know this person, and this person can get you this gig, and we can get you more money and more safety, and don't worry, we're gonna take care of you. It wasn't long before I was back and forth to Las Vegas and California like 5-6 times a week. And I just started using drugs because that's what they gave me on the set to convince me to do more. Oh, here's some marijuana, here's some alcohol, what do you need? They cater to you as long as you're making them money, and that's all they care about. You're nothing more than a piece of flesh to them. They don't care about your kids, they don't care about your family, they don't care about who you are and what you're dealing with and how broken you are. What they care about is how much money I can make off of you until you're completely devastated and done. And I just lost sight of who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore. I wasn't a good mom. Why I had initially gotten into porn was to provide for my kids, and I wasn't doing that. I was sleeping in my car basically because I traveled from Las Vegas to California, and I gave them money, and I gave my mom money to watch them, and I didn't see them because I was always in California back and forth, and it didn't matter how devastated I was. They were gonna keep using me. It came to a point where enough of what I was doing, like the solo films and even just more than one person, wasn't enough, and I wasn't making enough money. And they said, look, you gotta keep up your certain personality. You know, and I lied to the cameras, I lied to the fans. I love what I do. I love what I do because that's how you make money in porn. And I came to a producer who said that he would take complete and total control over me, basically. Thank you. Because that's what they try to do. They try to get their hooks in you so they can handle you. And he convinced me to do a gangbang scene. He said that it was gonna be 25 guys, but I wasn't really gonna have to sleep with 25 guys. That I was only gonna have to sleep with maybe about 10 of them, and they were just gonna make it look like I had slept with the rest of them. He offered me $5,000 for the scene, and I was desperate for that $5,000. Because between traveling back and forth between Las Vegas and California, and all of the expenses that came with that, I really didn't have anything to show for my time in porn. Most of the girls, the majority of the girls who do porn don't have anything to show for it afterward. And I just had to do extreme things to my body to get ready for that scene. I didn't eat right. I just constantly drank water and alcohol, and they provided me with painkillers and anything that I needed to prepare for that scene to make sure. He would call me every day. Oh, your big scene is coming up. Are you ready? Are you ready? What do you need? I got there and I was already out of it. And he came up to me and he's like, look, you know, these are the guys that you're gonna be with. And it was just a scene of it was just vile. There's all these guys in the room. I mean, all I saw was a sea of faces. And I could barely stand, but they didn't care about that. They always videotape the girls saying that they know what they're doing, that they're not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol. Everybody is. Everybody has an addiction. Everybody is using something to get through that pain of penetration from multiple oversized men who rip up your insides and don't care if you're in a hospital for 2 weeks after that. And they walked me to the scene, and I did the scene, but I blacked out during it, and they still kept filming. They just cut out that part. It took a total of like 6 to 8 hours, and I don't remember most of it. But they didn't care about that because I was making them money. And when it was over with, all I remember is that I'm covered in bodily fluids, saliva, and semen, and God knows what else. And all these guys come up to me, and they want to take pictures with me. And then it dawned on me, something's not right. These guys are supposed to be industry talent. They're supposed to be regulars. Why do they want a picture with me right now? So I started talking to one of them, and it came out that he was one of my biggest fans. An ad had been put in an LA paper to come sleep with your favorite porn star. So the producer had told me that all these guys had been tested, that they were industry regulars. I didn't know what I exposed myself to that day. I was just so scared and so devastated that I got sick, and I went up to the dressing room and just started throwing up, and I had to get out of there. I couldn't breathe. And I met a husband and a wife team who promised me freedom from the regular porn industry by giving me my own website. So, of course, I wanted to get away from the abuse. And I started working on my own website, but then when I started not meeting their demands, they started threatening me. And the threats just got worse. And then the web producer wanted to have sex with me on the side when his wife wasn't around. And he would hold that over my head. He would hold the website over my head. It just got to the point where enough was enough. I told him that I wasn't going to do porn anymore. I wasn't going to do my website anymore. He threatened to take my kids away from me. And he told me that it would never come down. And the website is still there. I can't take it down. Because once you sign that paper, you're signing your life away. And most of these girls don't realize that once you get into the industry and you sign that paper, that's it. Your life no longer belongs to you. They said all these things about me that I never said on videos and on my website. But I can't claim that I didn't. I can't prove that I didn't. And I was just ready to kill myself, honestly. I mean, I just got to a point where I was done. Enough was enough. And I drank and I drank and I drank, but I didn't die. God didn't let me die. And after a couple hours of just tearful praying and just crying out to God, I got online and I Googled porn help and I found Shelly. And right away, she reached out to me in love and care packages for me and my kids and support. And the month after that, she's like, hey, I know you just got out of porn, but I know there's a powerful calling on your life. And so do you want to go into a porn convention with me and reach out to other people who are in the industry? And I was like, no. But I didn't hesitate because I knew what God had brought me out of. And I did have that seed, the Holy Spirit seed that was planted in me as a kid. So I knew that what the devil meant for harm, God wanted to use for good. And so I said, okay. And I went with her, and it was just amazing to reach out to these people. And everybody recognized me, and they were calling me out by my stage name. And I was like, oh, no. I'm out of the industry, and I'm into the ministry now. I like that. And it's just been an amazing ride. I got out of the industry in 2007, and I've been working with Shelly ever since to help other people. And I've just been able to hug and love on thousands and thousands of necks, girls who are much like me. And what you guys need to understand is that porn is not glamorous. There's nothing glamorous about it. It destroys, it kills lives, and it kills relationships. There's nothing good about it.